The psychology behind the kind of comments that a seemingly intelligent person like this gentleman in Washington, D.C. makes is an indictment of humanity for having lost all of its humanity, quite frankly, that people can get up and pretend as if the victim is in fact the criminal, and that the true criminal is indeed a victim, is really beyond the pale. We've reached a point now where these puppets who get up and state such upside-down nonsense really will have no place in a sane society that humanity must create in order for us to avert a third world war and ultimately a potential nuclear annihilation. The facts are the facts, and the fact is that the Palestinian people have been treated as subhumans since before 1948 and the formation of the so-called Jewish state of Israel. The Jewish state of Israel was formed on the back of wiping hundreds of Palestinian villages off the map. The people of Palestine, including family members in my own family, were thrown out of that country, or of course they could have stayed and died if they chose to do that. The fact is that everything stems from the original crime, and the Palestinians have every right to resist, whether it be with homemade rockets, which are unguided, basically glorified fireworks, or by any other means necessary. Every single human being on this planet has the right to defend themselves, and we also know at this point that Netanyahu, Shin Bet, and the Israeli leadership pretended as if they didn't know that these 3 Israeli boys were dead already, just so they could whip up the kind of hysteria to support the madness and the bloodletting which continues again. It's Gaza 2008, 2009, Cast-led 2.0, and this is what the Israelis do. Come up with excuses to exterminate and kill Palestinians. And really what we need to do in the West is take stock of the fact that our treasonous governments are kowtowing to Israel, providing them weapons which are being used to murder Palestinians every day. So we in the West are responsible for the murder that is happening in Gaza right now. American citizens and British citizens in particular are guilty of mass murder for their complicity and their tax-paying endeavors, which result in the murdering of Palestinians.
Well, Mr. Peterson, your response, specifically in the context right now that we're seeing massive protests take place across the world against the Israeli aggression on Gaza, it seems the world public opinion is also against Israel.
Well, Mr. O'Keefe has had a very passionate response here, but unfortunately, reason somehow has not, the passion hasn't risen to the level of reason. In fact, it's quite contradictory. His words out of his own mouth were just that everyone has the right to defend themselves. And I presume he would mean by that Israel also. And Mr. O'Keefe presents himself as being a former Marine,
when you invade a nation,
which is rather surprising. However,
and you steal from them and you imprison their people,
sir,
you are the aggressor.
Mr. O'Keefe, we'll give you a chance to respond. Let Mr. Peterson speak. Mr. Peterson, go ahead.
Mr. O'Keefe, you as a Marine must have missed your class in asymmetrical warfare. If you think what is happening in Gaza right now, the poor, dispossessed, oppressed people in Gaza are not being oppressed by the Israeli, they are being oppressed by the thugs in their midst that are using them as hostages and tools in a war of asymmetry. Asymmetrical propaganda warfare, which you either are innocently or not playing a part very well to reward that behavior, to reward thugs for placing missiles and snipers and bombs within civilian areas intentionally to provoke the kind of thing that you are shrugging your shoulders and blaming the defender for trying in all ways to have defense. I will quite agree if your point is that Israelis have caused innocent civilian casualties. Yes, I believe the Israelis probably would acknowledge that. However, that being said, why were those weapons located in civilian homes, in schools, in hospitals. Why, after being pleaded time and time to have them removed, they were not. Missiles continued to be launched. Sir, what would you have done if those were your people?
Well, Mr.
Having missiles
Keefe,
rain down upon you, what do you do?
Mr. Keefe,
Surrender?
I'd like you to respond
Is that the
to
O'Keefe
this.
way? I don't think so.
I'd like you to respond to this, Mr. Keefe, and bearing in mind that Mr. Peterson used the word provocation coming from Hamas, and that's what's caused Israel to react the way it is. But let's not forget, whenever you Google Israel, you get evictions, mass evictions of Palestinians, illegal settlement constructions, settler violence against Palestinians, construction of an illegal separation wall, the suppression of the peaceful protests in Nil'in and Bil'in. Mr. O'Keefe, the floor is yours.
Of all the things I said, he brought up one point. He ignored the fact that Israel was founded on the back of wiping hundreds of Palestinian villages off the map, that ethnic cleansing took place there. He has ignored the fact that the Palestinians have been treated as subhumans for many decades now. He has ignored the fact that basically he is giving the same rights of self-defense to the aggressor. The aggressor, when he invades and steals a nation, does not have the right of self-defense. Those that are being violated, those whose land is being stolen, those whose families are being murdered, they have the right of self-defense. It is not self-defense when you have the fourth largest military in the world with high-tech weaponry of the highest order, when you have a military that has total air superiority. There is no air defenses, there is no air force, there is no navy, there is no army to speak of. That is not self-defense. And how many rockets have killed people in Israel? It's hardly more than a handful. And ultimately, this is the only thing they have to fight back with. If they did have weapons to fight back with, I can tell you the cowardly Israeli nation would never stand a chance in the face of an equally armed Palestinian resistance, because they would destroy Israel in a heartbeat if there was a fair fight. But there is no fair fight. It's like shooting fish in a barrel, basically. And you talk about entire families that have been wiped out. The Samuni family lost 29 members in one go. Another family lost 25 members in one go. We're talking a child as young as 9 months, 3 pregnant women in one home, so that Israel could target one individual. It is a disgusting, criminal state, Israel. It is involved in organ trafficking, blood diamonds, sex slavery, weapons trading, passing on nuclear secrets, you name it. It is the ultimate criminal state, and it is treating the Palestinians for many decades now as less than dogs. These are the facts. And nothing will change these facts, no matter how many prostitutes get on the television and spout their talking points handed directly to them from the UK, US governments, and other mainstream media, which are nothing more than warmongers pretending to be truth tellers.